Hey guys, thanks for watching Bone Brothers Kentucky. We first off want to thank everybody for their support, trying to realize and get to our dream here of producing video of our management and wildlife aspects. We just wanted to go over for a second the dynamics of this property here. First off, one of the things that makes this property great is it's only bow hunting. You know, the neighbors I think are allowed to hunt with the gun, but me and Uriah didn't hear. I don't know that we even for sure heard a gunshot last year, so really the deer stay unpressured, and it really shows in the numbers of deer you see, and not just deer but mature bucks. Told Uriah I thought maybe last year I saw more mature bucks in a month span here than I saw the previous 2 years combined. I also want to talk about our goal and kind of our scheme of what we're doing this year. It really started back last December, January. We had a span there where we put the cameras out. You know, being my first year, I wanted to kind of get an inventory of all the mature bucks, and they kind of went missing. We decided to throw some trophy rocks out. It's true testament to trophy rock. As soon as we threw those trophy rocks out, we got pretty much every mature buck we knew of the property going forward. So fast forwarding this year, we had talked all winter about really providing the deer with some food, specifically late season food. And as you'll see in later episodes here, we've got roughly 2 acres in food plots we've done with a variety of mix. In that, another very pertinent part of this property is, you know, past hunters and going forward for us, really held off till the deer have been mature, 4.5 years or older. You know, we're really going to try to do a 5.5-year-old limit on some 10-pointers. You know, kind of hard the first year. We're kind of struggling with some of the deer we don't have a whole lot of pass with, you know, just for the simple fact that we haven't been here doing this that long, but we've got a pretty good read on several of our deer, and that's what we're going to show you next here with the hit list. Alright guys, we're talking the hit list as we told you about here. We got this deer here, Uriah's named him Funky Left, and not real sure about this deer. I think he could be 3.5. He's one of those deer that I don't think either of us are going out and looking for every day, but again, he's got a funky rack here, and not really what, you know, we're desiring. So saying that, we're kind of on the cusp of thinking he's 3.5, 4.5. Again, not really looking to kill this deer, but late season he steps out in front of us, we'll definitely think about it. This next deer we got here, we're calling him Uriah's 8, and give you a little background. Last year Uriah was hunting down in the spot we call the West Grown Up, and past what we think this deer is. We're not 100% sure it's this deer, but we really think it is. Got a lot of characteristics. If it is, he blew. Really good looking 8-pointer. We think he's going to be a mid 140s 8-pointer. As you can see there, really nice long beams, very good time length 2s and 3s. A little short on the brow tines there. Uriah actually got him on film. Remember the date of that? No, it's a couple weeks ago, out of a stand we call the fence line stand. And but anyways, really good looking deer. Definitely a deer I'm not going to go for in the beginning of the season myself, and you'll see why later. But definitely wouldn't feel bad about taking this deer. I know you wouldn't, Uriah.
Yeah, definitely.
Great deer. Again, I'm going to guess him mid 140s. All right, next deer is hook brows here. I'm almost going to call this Uriah's favorite deer. I've heard more about this deer in the last 2 weeks, but to be honest, coming in, you know, to film this here, I didn't know a whole lot about this deer. At the beginning of the year, we thought he was this deer you're going to see at the end, you know, we call big brow, big old wide. Looks like he's got a good amount of mass, and you can see why we call him hook brows. His brows hook in to each other. He's really, you see this picture here on the left, he almost looks like a miniature deer. He's short legs, stubby, so we definitely feel very confident he's a mature 4.5-year-old buck. But again, again, you're right, where we've been seeing this deer, you know.
He's mainly in the front of the property. He was a little bit on the west in our little feeder creek to the main creek, but he has not been in the back of the property with the big boys, so he's not a dominant buck at all. But he mainly been in the front of the property with some of the younger ones. But I really like him. He's definitely a really wide 8, probably the second best 8 that we have out here, and he looked fairly old in my opinion.
Alright, so this next deer, we're calling him Lucky. I think you can probably imagine why we call him Lucky, so let me give you a little background. I think it was November 2nd, it was a Sunday last year. I was sitting in a stand we call the grown-up field stand, basically a transition area between some food and a bedding area. And it was about 3:30, and apologize for not having this on video, really cool encounter, but I hit the rattling horns thinking, we'll just see what happens, 3:30, early. And I was actually sitting down, which was stupid. Should have been standing anytime you hit the rattling horns in November, but this guy ends up coming through, and as you can see, his right side, this is a picture of him last year, his right side was pretty darn good, 10-point side. And he came through where I was able to see that right side, and I immediately got excited and stood up. And but luckily I got a chance to look him over for a minute. Determined I thought he was 3 years old. Let him walk on by. So fast forwarding to this year, this deer has blown. He's one of our favorite deer. I'm about certain he's only a 4.5-year-old. So as you heard me say earlier, we would really like to implement a 5.5-year-old age limit on these 10s, but being the circumstances we have, this is a deer that I think we would all be elated to shoot, but I think we'd also be elated if he makes it the next year. As you can see, he's got what, triple brow tine?
Yeah, triple brow tine.
Great 2s and 3s. His 4s are lacking, but with all the extra kickers and the beam lengths, he's got great beam length, tine length on his 2s and 3s. I think he's going to score pretty good. I hate to give estimates on deer like this. It's so hard to tell without having him on the ground, but I'm for certain he's in the 150s. If he carries some mass, it's kind of hard to tell if he's carrying. I know last year, as a matter of fact, he did not carry mass. That's one of the reasons I did not shoot him. If he carries some mass this year, he could get in that 160 range, but we're for certain he's a 150 inch.